Good evening, everybody. My name is Kris. I'm one of the co-hosts of CaOverwatch. And today you guys might notice that there are a couple things different about this podcast versus some of our other ones. The first is that Spencer is away. He's gone for the week, so it's just me talking to you guys today. I'm going to keep this video a little bit shorter because of that and just cover the Toronto Defiant and Vancouver game coming up this weekend. But one of the other things you guys may have noticed is that I have a new mic. I've had a whole host of different mics, including a Yeti Blue in the past, but I felt like it would be a good move to get a Rode Procaster and move over to the more professional sounding mics. So without that, I'll get started in covering our topic today. The Toronto Defiant versus Vancouver Titans 2.0, round 2. This could almost kind of be a recoup, kind of showing what we got. Last game, we barely scraped by. If it wasn't for Kariv having an absolutely nutty game against Vancouver on some of the last maps in Nepal, I think we could have lost it. So I think what's really important for this game moving forward is making sure that we convincingly beat Vancouver. Because if we can't convincingly beat Vancouver, that's not going to be looking good for our other harder games versus Atlanta Reign and Fuel coming up before the actual June Melee tournament. There are a couple different things that are extremely important to look out for when we are playing against the Toronto Defiant this time around. The first and probably most obvious is Shockwave. He had an absolutely killer game against us last game, and so it's going to be extremely important to shut him down and make sure he can't perform at the same level as he did last time. What's really good about this is that the hero pools, I think, almost kind of favor us in this sense. The one DPS player being shut out of hero pools is Echo, and that was a character that I thought Shockwave really outshone us, or really beat us up hard on. If he doesn't have that character, he may still do well on other characters, but it makes it a little more unknown to us whether or not he'll do well, which I think is something that bodes in our favor, considering our Echo wasn't as good as Shockwave's. So if we had a one-on-one matchup, we would have lost that in this coming game. One other DPS player that I think some people are sleeping on right now, but could make a really big comeback or big play in this matchup is Dalton. Dalton has had a lot of experience with current OWL players. He used to play for Toronto Esports and Contenders. He used to play with Dogman, Note, Masa, Cruz. This guy has experience playing with top talent and against top talent. So I think we should certainly be looking out for Dalton on the Vancouver Titans when we play them this weekend, and look to really shut down his characters. Finally, one thing that is going to be important for both Toronto Defiant and Vancouver Titans is the matchup between Numlock and his former teammate Shockwave. This is a big game for Numlock. I know lots of people have been looking towards Numlock as a turnkey solution to making us better, and which I don't disagree with that. I think he will make a big difference. We still have yet to see whether or not he's going to make as big of a difference as some people will say. I think that this coming hero pool will actually favor him and favor our tank lineup against Vancouver Titans tank lineup. So in case you guys didn't know, we have a couple different individuals that are being out of hero pools in this rotation, most notably, like I mentioned earlier, Echo, Symmetra, I believe, and Diva. I forgot what the other support character is, but Diva is one of the interesting bans on this matchup, because we know that Nevix is one of his best characters is Diva. So my guess is that we're going to be looking towards playing more of a double shield meta in this matchup against Vancouver Titans, which I actually think is going to go favorable for us. And I actually think that in the case of a double shield meta, Nevix may actually be switched out for Numlock. So what I mean by this is we can actually tell if we did some research on Stats Lab, and we looked at some of Nevix's stats. And his diva play is actually pretty good. It's about middle of the pack, which is expected. But Diva's out of the game. So unfortunately on Sigma, which is what I'd guess he would play in this matchup, it would be either an Orisa comp or a Sigma Ryan comp. His Sigma's less good. He's one of the bottom 3 Sigmas with only a 42% win rate. And just to look at some other stats, if we were to be running a double shield, we definitely want to be running a Ryan possibly with a Sigma Lucio Anna, because our win rate percentage is close to 45%, or team fight win rate percentage is close to 45% in those situations. Whereas if we run an Orisa Sigma, we're looking at a team fight win rate percentage at 37.9. So I think what we should do is should run a Sigma Rhine, and that means that I think that Numlock would be switching out Nevix instead of Beast, which is what some people may have thought of before. Now, I will say this is going to create an interesting dynamic, because what we talked about before is the fact that Beast hasn't had a lot of leadership to kind of bring him along and show him the way in terms of developing as a player and performing as a player. But with Numlock and Beast paired together in a double shield composition, I think there's a good chance that we could really see Beast's talents amplified with a proper leader like Numlock. So I think that this hero pool specifically for our tank lineup is going to be a really interesting catalyst to see how Numlock plays with Beast, and how his leadership style can be integrated into the Toronto Defiant. A couple other things that I think we at CaOverwatch are expecting to happen in terms of the hero pools is Ashe and Sim or May and Reaper being played in the DPS lineup. Ashe is extremely strong right now, and Sim can be those two characters are great at taking off angles and punishing double shield. And May and Reaper, once again, are just two characters that have always been strong, have always had good chemistry together, and do have the possibility of working together within this hero pool. In that case, if we were looking at those two heroes, I would expect Surefour and Logix to run those heroes. I just think that in terms of the May, Agilities isn't great at May right now. And I honestly want to see more of Surefour and Logix. I think those two players right now are our best DPS lineup. I know that Zik has just come in on a 2-week contract, and I don't know if he's going to be playing this game through. His game against Vancouver was a little shaky, especially because he was being outshone by Shockwave. And I really do think that Toronto needs a convincing win. So I don't think that they're going to put in Zik because I think that we need to absolutely destroy Vancouver Titans. And I'm not kidding. We need to kill them to really reestablish our dominance as a team that could be a challenger to other players. So I think we're going to be looking at seeing Surefour, Logix, Kriv Cruz, and Numlock and Beast, which is something that I wasn't expecting, but to me it sounds great because now we have the two major leaders, Cruz and Numlock, playing together, which is something that our team has desperately needed for a while. So for me, there are 3 keys to success for us winning this game against Vancouver Titans. They're A, making sure that Kriv is supported and can frag out like he did against Vancouver in their last matchup. The second key to success is shutting down Shockwave. One of the reasons why Shockwave had such a great time against us in the last game is because he had a lot of space to work with, which I think is caused by our lack of team coordination and team communication. Which leads me to the third thing, and that is team coordination. There were so many times that Kariv would get a 5 or 6 man nade from Anna onto the Vancouver team, and there was absolutely no follow-up from Toronto. And that was just the stuff that a amateur analyst like I could spot. There were probably a bunch of other team coordination issues that weren't easily spottable. So I think that Toronto Defiant, if they can pull off team coordination, will be able to very handily beat Vancouver. And once again, it's really hard to predict whether or not they are going to do that because they just signed Unlock. They recently signed Zik, and if he comes in, they just haven't had the time to coordinate well enough compared to other teams. But I think that if they can coordinate better than they did against Vancouver last game, then they will do great. So that's all for today. Actually, one last thing, predictions. I am hoping that we beat Vancouver 3-1. I think that's totally doable with our pickups, with the amount of time we've had to work together. So I think it's an easy, predictable 3-1 win for Toronto Defiant. And further there, after that, we'll look towards playing other teams. But that's it for today. Thank you for listening to us, or me, at CaOverwatch. If you liked this video, smash that like button. If you disliked it, smash that dislike button even harder. And if you want more content from us, comment and subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.